Yeah. Well, Michael rather deviously went rook f d1 instead of repeating his game with Essen. So
Sorry, what was the previous game?
I think he took on d8 there and went f3, right?
I'm not really the person to ask.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think maybe c4 is more accurate. I didn't appreciate the difference, but suddenly after b3, it is actually pretty unpleasant.
Do you think you're seriously worse here then?
I didn't like it at all. I don't know if that's subjective or just a feeling at the board, but I didn't like it at all. So the thing is, at least I thought I should provoke him into the double pawns. So force him to play bishop c4.
Okay, maybe we can just explain that because
I want to play I want to play c4 without him having b4. So that's the point of bishop e7. He went here, takes, and now I have to go for this defensive setup. And this actually looks very good in the sense that it shuts down any thoughts of f5 that I might have. But I was trying my best to figure out how I could play f5 because something like this I think gives him more options. And if I go f5, he can still play f3. Yeah, I can't force the matter more.
But then I thought you would just sort of continue with king f7, f4, g5, and just make sure your pawn's on the king
well,
side.
So let's see what happens there. Maybe f4 right away.
Maybe don't bother.
Well, I go bishop f2, you go g5, and I thought g3. Oh. And after g5, I thought g3. And already I have to decide if I'm going to allow him to take or not. And then if you just visualize the game, put on knight on a5, king on d3, knight on d5, king on d3, bring the rook back. Yeah. And this sudden switch on the king side, I don't know. I mean, black's not going to lose by a lot. If he loses, it'll be because of one move here or there. Also, it wasn't clear to me that this was necessarily good for good for black, because I didn't see my follow-up. I mean, I can go knight d4 check, but that's a bit of a risk. And if I don't, he goes king d3, f3, and the same thing. And again, I mean, black will have lots of setups which come very close to a draw, but I simply wasn't sure here. But the point is that in the game, in fact, my original idea was to somehow try and play king f8, king f1, bishop g5. But then I realized that f3, and I can't force the exchange of bishops, so that doesn't really make sense. And then it hit me that my original idea of a defensive setup, which was this one, suddenly combines well with just holding everything here. So bishop c3, f6, h4, b. I should do this as fast as possible. The more I delay it, the more white will have probably played f4 or g5. And as long as I go back to d8 and play a5, at least that ties down his rook and potentially some other pieces as well. And I thought this structure would hold. At least I didn't see anything at this point. So it's a moot question whether a bit earlier there was something.
Mick, I mean, how did you feel?
Well, I mean, I wasn't so unhappy when I got here, but of course black has a very good defensive setup now. Everything is just defended, and I mean, I was actually considering maybe playing g5 here.
Yeah, this was interesting. h5 was quite a committal move here, wasn't it? I suppose.
Yeah, well, I have to decide what to do now, basically, and then g6, but somehow I wasn't sure. I thought then maybe knight c8 to e7 could be a bit awkward. I don't know. I think maybe I had some. Yeah, I don't know.
But takes rook a7. It feels like I'll probably hold this.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it possible to after g5 and takes and to try and run the white rook round very quickly and try to gain something there before the A pawn? Is it too slow?
I thought it was too slow, but hang on, let's just check it. So what's your next move? This here?
For example. Yeah.
So A4.
Scary.
Rook G7, A3 is coming. The problem is I'm not threatening A1 so much as Rook A3. So he has to do this.
Okay.
And then I take here, or even give a check first and then take here. And it seems to me that white is not better. Or let's say check on the next move.
Right.
And I don't think white's better.
Not false.
Because, the pawn has just run too far.
Okay. And it wasn't possible to play Rook H8 and gain something there before the pawn went too far?
Well,
was that possible?
Rook H8.
So nothing.
Well, same problem, A3.
Right, no tricks with the pin?
No, the problem for white is that Rook A3 check is always going to be very awkward.
Right. And there was, yeah, okay.
So in fact, you have to go bishop takes E5. I go Rook A1 check. Rook A3 check, King E2. I can even take on C4.
Okay.
Black is a piece up. So.
Yeah. Right.
No, runabout here, I felt I had saved it, and so the only question was, what did you think of this idea? In a way, it seems silly, but on the other hand, my bishop is a useful defensive piece. I didn't know whether to be worried or completely that I was completely safe here or what, but.
Yeah, I thought about it. I just didn't really see how I would, what I would actually ever threaten. That was one of my problems. If you just sort of sat there.
Yeah, but how do I sit there? If you go King C3, I thought you can try and rotate the knight around to B3 or D3.
Well, maybe. Yeah.
But still, it's difficult to make progress. I'll go knight B7 and A5.
After the knight to B3, you'll go knight B7. So
Yeah.
I couldn't see a threat. That was why I didn't do it. And then I thought, okay, I'm changing your only bad piece, maybe. But in the game after, can I just say after A5, if I could just try and get the king over. I'm just not in time. No?
King E3.
No, I somehow wanted to get the king round to C1 or something like this.
King to C1, did you say?
Yeah, I wanted to sort of bring it to A2. That was, and then to try and bring the rook into. But it's very hard to arrange.
So you want to put your king on A2 and bring your rook, to B3 or something?
Yeah, I would play like king A2, bishop D2, knight E3, and then go rook A3.
Okay.
Except I probably won't because something will go wrong. But
I thought maybe my counterplay is always to try and get knight G5 in. Maybe not this way. Bishop D8, king C1, and then go here.
Okay, and bishop D2.
Yeah. So let's say I go. Can I go rook B8?
Okay.
Cut you off.
Rook A3.
Chaps, I hate to break in, but I think we've got a bit of a traffic jam here. So if there was maybe one more critical moment.
Well, I think this might have been it, actually.
Yeah.
After this, it just, once the knight came to E6, it's just...
Yeah.
Okay. Well, probably I should just take a draw immediately, I think, actually, once we get here, because there's just no way. He's either going knight G5 or knight D4, and the pawn on F3 is weak, and then, I just can't do anything. No, that was the only moment I thought maybe after this A5, because originally I was going to move the king, and then I thought I would just make the time control, but in the meantime, his knight came to E6, which was a big improvement for black.
Yeah.
Well, not a big improvement, but a significant improvement.
Okay, so we've got a big day tomorrow, Vishy, because it looks like Luke has drawn, and, well, at the moment, Magnus looks like he doesn't have the best position in the world, so it could be between you and Luke for tomorrow. Remind us who you're playing.
I'm playing Vladi, so...
Okay, not an easy one.
No, sure, and also I have the tiebreak from hell. So
Tiebreak from hell.
Tiebreak from hell.
So just come and play and see what happens.
Whatever happens. Yeah.
Okay. Vishy, are you a fan of his 3 points for a win, or do you